for lions and for the fireman thing. It's a little confused with what he's supposed to wear when. Because we just love him, we thought we'd fix this problem for him. So, disregarding any expense, we have a designer outfit made for Gary. You're welcome.
Our first roasters of the evening are from the McLaren Pipe and Drums. I believe it's Kim Burt and John Stewart. Yep, they love him as well. They went home.
Bear with us, folks. Good evening, everybody. We're here to recognize the service and contributions of our friend Gary Woods, and to roast him as well. The band asked me to be one of the roasters, and at first I didn't really want to do it, but when you're in a band, as anyone knows who's in a band, it's just like a great big family. Some nights we're the Partridge Family, and tonight we're the Manson family. I brought my puppet along with me, and I don't know if it's quite ready for being taken out of the bag yet. Are you ready?
No, I'm not ready.
I'm fired as a ventriloquist.
Lost my teeth.
You lost your teeth?
I can't find my teeth.
Oh, do you want to find them first?
Oh, they're in the apple.
Oh, they're in the apple. Oh, we got a drunk puppet here. She's coming out of the bag. I think she's been in the bag. Okay.
No, I haven't felt this uncomfortable since I was in the elevator with Gary Woods.
Oh, is it?
He said, "Hi, I'm Gary. I drive to town and country."
Uh-huh.
You should see the features.
What kind of features did he have?
Well, one time it stopped, middle of the road, going down.
Is that right? What happened then?
A deer came up. He was pretty impressed.
The deer, huh? The deer was impressed?
Yeah, the deer was impressed.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Well, listen, what did you think about earlier before the dinner when they piped in the ham? I mean, Gary.
Ham? I'm Gary. I'm the leader of the band.
That's very good. That's very good. You know, when I first met Gary, when he joined the band, he had a question for me. He said, "John, do you know what the difference is?" "Are you okay there?" "You're sleeping." I said, "We're all sleeping." "You know the difference between bagpipes and onions?" And I said, "No, Gary, I don't know the difference between bagpipes and onions." He says, "That's easy." He says, "No one cries when you cut up the bagpipes." As close as a piper's, you're not supposed to laugh at that.
I have a song.
You do. You want to sing a song? I think it's, you said it was going to be to the tune of 76 trombones?
Going on to the other one.
Oh, the other one. So what's this song going to be?
Okay, I can do 76. 76 bagpipes led the big parade. Gary marching on promenade.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Gary asked me later, he said, "John," he said, "you know the difference between a drummer and a park bench?" Because we're drummers. And I said, I thought long and hard about it. Now, those are two words you don't hear at our age. And I said, "Gary, yeah, you know the difference between a drummer and a park bench." He says, "Okay, tell me." He says, "That's easy. A park bench can support a family of 4. There's another good one, too. Do you know what they call the drummer who's broken up with his girlfriend?
No.
Homeless. Have you got anything else?
I have another song.
Oh, okay.
You make me feel like a brand new bagpiper.
Expect it to be one?
And you know what?
What?
You wrote this.
Oh, what? Hold on. By the way, this is Molly McLaren.
Yeah, he always forgets to introduce his puppet.
Yeah.
And he always sticks his hand in my...
I tell her it's by mistake. Oh, I got my legs together, buddy? Okay, well, when I think back on Gary, I remember some different times. I remember we did one time we did the Scarecrow Festival in Meaford, and it was a horrific night. And we almost lost Gary going over the little bridge to get down to the park. The wind really caught him and knocked him almost right over the bridge. And I remember also, Gary, when we were asked to play for the people aboard the Chi-Chi-Mon crew. And
Oh, I remember that.
yeah, you do. That's very good. Yeah. And we played, and I looked up, and I saw Gary there in his captain's outfit, and I thought you were doing a show of the Love Boat.
Or was it the Titanic?
I thought it was the Poseidon, actually. Okay. Well, anything else to say?
Yeah. Well, every time Gary comes to our practice, got an idea. Got an idea.
Yeah.
Yep. He can make those snowballs. Ooh la la.
That's pretty good.
And guess who has to fire them?
Really good. Actually, Gary's wife called him the man of the hour. I think that was a bit flattering, Gary. Gary, you're a good guy. We like teasing you. And you should be proud of whatever you do. If that sort of thing makes you proud.
76 bagpipes like the big parade. On that note, we're out of here.
We're out of here. Thank you very much, folks.
Well, I guess all this stuff on the roof of the band. And every night we had to unload it, and every morning we put it back. Well, guess who had to do the work? Who delegated? And his favourite words were, "Helen, you're the ladder." But I would like to point out, on our way back, we found out that everything went into the back of the truck, and we really didn't have to put anything on at the top anyway. So much for being the delegator.
One thing Dennis did not mention is the number of times we stopped because it hadn't been tucked in properly when they packed it. Remember that? So we could have been in Omaha 2.5 hours earlier having time. Dennis, do you know what a kid with a big drum is?
I do not know what a kid with a big drum is.
Poster child for birth control.
Talking of packing things, this was the only way Gary could work out how to get all his drums. But if you notice, the one drum that's missing is his big bass drum. Typical Gary.
But the interesting thing is, Gary always wanted to be a drummer, always. I heard a story that he said to his mom one day. Do you remember, Gary, you telling me this story? No, you don't. He said to his mom, "Mom, when I grow up, I want to be a drummer." And his mom smiled and said, "Well, son, you know darn well you can't do both."
Takes a minute to slip in. Lion Hank, you're up first.
Good evening. What can I say about Gary that you haven't already seen in a police report or on the front page of National Enquirer? This is another occasion where Lions has given me the opportunity to meet unique and unusual people. When I first met Gary, I didn't like him. He was a Detroit Red Wings fan and I was a Toronto Maple Leaf fan. Today, I love him. Toronto's in first and Detroit is somewhere else. Gary has stories. Gary has stories because he interacts with the whole world. He can't ignore what's going on around him. And if you're around him, you get sucked into that vortex. Example, Gary says, "Follow me." And I end up steering the Chichimon ferry along the Bruce Peninsula coast. You ever get the feeling when you're sharing stories with someone that all those crazy stories they tell you just couldn't possibly be true? Just too crazy, right? Well, I remember thinking that about Gary's stories until I spent 5 days with him in Chicago. Consider a simple Uber ride from our Chicago condo to Wrigley Field to watch a baseball game. Our driver is a young fellow with ebony black skin. Gary explains how we're in town with the Lions. The young man explains that he has just come from Kenya to Chicago to raise money so his cousin can go to medical school. He tells us how dangerous hippopotamuses are, and his uncle was chased up a tree and nearly killed by one. Saved only by the nearby villagers. This is as we're driving through the main streets of Chicago. He tells us how his grandpa won't come to Chicago because they won't let him grow his own food. So what happens when you can't buy any, he says. His problem in Kenya is no water. We talk about wells and if Lions could help. Our driver, Mohammed, gets Gary's governor's business card. And no, Gary, I'm not going to Kenya with you. At the ball game, when we finally get there, when they know we are Lions, we are welcomed like family. The young family sitting beside Gary offers to buy us a beer. The elderly lady in front of us mentions she's with the Rotary. We don't hold that against her. She loves volunteering and has just returned from a church mission to Afghanistan. Her and her son were the last 2 Americans allowed in the country before the travel ban, if you can remember all that nonsense. Great lady, and by the end of the game, she insists that she's going to drive us back to the Navy Pier, about 25 minutes away, through downtown Chicago, which is a nut house. And there we're going to meet our wives. She got a Governor Gary business card. So this is just one afternoon with Gary. Imagine the life poor Leslie lives. I think we should give Leslie a big hand. Okay, now on a more serious note, Barb and I owe Gary. He saved Barb's life. While I was downtown Chicago having a beer with Ray Charbonneau, our Lions historian, Barb and Gary and Leslie stepped out of our condo on Chicago Street West to catch their Uber ride to join me, only to hear some loud popping sounds. Thinking it was fireworks, because it was the 4th of July, Barb looked up in time to see a man running from the park next door with a gun, and then 3 other men chasing him. Gary quickly got the girls back inside the condo hall and ducked down to avoid any stray bullets. When all was quiet, they peered out, and it was like nothing had happened. Kids were playing in the park while their mothers watched from park benches. Barb said it was surreal, as if they were making a movie or something. So Gary, thank you for saving Barb's life. Some mornings I wake up and just wonder what it would be like if you hadn't done that. So, we have a couple of things for Gary. Any of you who have had dealings with him know that he's a very fair guy. You can say what you want, he's a very fair guy. Always trying to do what's right. Faced with a tough decision, he's always convinced there's a fair way to resolve the problem. So, in recognition of Gary Fairway Wood, I'd like to present him with one-of-a-kind head cover. And finally, which you've probably been waiting for these words for a while now, I'd like to present Gary with a special mug to remember his year and all his friends. There is a toast that goes with this mug. You need to toast with me, and these are the words. Here's to Gary, he's first class. Here's to Gary, he's the horse's ass. All right, everybody up? Are you ready? Here's to Gary, he's first class. Here's to Gary, he's a horse's ass.
Very nice.
Okay, has anyone seen Helen? Helen? Helen?
I'm coming, Gary, I'll see you. I'll see you. I haven't been checked in 54 years, but I'll see you. I just thought that since people were going... You may not get branded, it might get brain though. That since people were going to be nasty to Gary, that I would save him. I would put out any fire that came his way. Except it doesn't have a hose.
Where's the hose?
Oh,
Where's the hose?
I don't know. And you know what? If there's one thing that firefighters are fond of, it's their hoses. I kid you not. They're all different kinds of hoses. There's your domestic size hose that you find in your house or your car or whatever the heck allows you maybe. But there's also your industrial strength hose. I mean,
Gary thinks he has industrial strength.
he is wrong. I know for a fact that some hoses you have to act. I've seen them do it. On YouTube, I'll tell you later. They have to unroll the hoses before they can use them.
And I think we'll leave it at that for tonight. Okay, next up is Don Riddell from the Silver Beach Men's Club.
Thank you, Dennis. I'm going to raise this up a little because I'm a little bit taller than most. You might have to put it back down. My name is Don Riddell, and I am a longtime friend of Gary and Leslie both. I met them about 10 years ago when my wife and I retired at Sauble Beach. And needless to say, they have certainly brought a lot of fun and excitement into our lives. So much so that I can't remember most of it. But I wrote it down. I did go into the background for Gary because only knowing him for 10 years, I thought in order to do a just job tonight, I'd have to get back in time. So I went into the Ancestry lookup book and found out some things about Gary when he was quite young. And I had to write them down. They're long stories, but I'll try and keep it short. When he was in high school, he was also apparently in the Windsor military, the Marine military. They used to have to go down to the Detroit River and spear carp and catfish. Gary became one of the best spear chuckers in the Windsor Naval Academy. But one day, they decided to fly Gary and some of his pals overseas. So he boarded an aircraft in Windsor. Lo and behold, he sits down beside two Arabs. Just before the takeoff, the Royal Military Marine Gary sat in the aisle seat, while the two other gentlemen, one was against the window and one was in the middle seat. As soon as they got sat down, the one guy in the window seat says, "I think I need a Coke." Well, Gary says, "Well, don't get up. I'm a Marine and I'm here to serve. I'll go get one for you." As soon as he left, the two Arabs picked up the Marine's shoes, Gary had taken his shoes off, and one spat in the one shoe. When Gary returned with the Coke, the other Arab said, "That looks good. I really need one too." And Gary said, obligingly, "I'll go get it for you." While he was gone, the other Arab picked up the other shoe, and he spat in it. When Gary returned, they all sat back enjoying the flight. As the plane was landing, Gary slipped his feet into his shoes and knew immediately there had been something that happened. He leaned over and asked the one Arab neighbor, "Why does it always have to be this way? How long must this go on? This fighting between our nations has got to stop. This hatred, this animosity, this spitting in shoes and pissing in cokes." That's where he became known as the best spear chucker in the Windsor Academy. Then when he was trying to get into the firefighting department, he had to go through a rigorous, very rigorous resume and interview process. So the person that was interviewing thought, well, there was 4 candidates for the job. Gary and 3 other smart people. The candidate interviewer said, I have one question for each of you, and I want you to give me your best answer. What is the fastest thing that you know of? The first candidate's name was Rick. And he said, a thought. It just pops out of your head. There's no warning. That's very good, replied the interviewer. And now you, sir, she asked the second man. His name was Bob. A blink. It comes and goes, and you don't know it ever happened. A blink is the fastest thing I know of. Excellent, said the interviewer. The blink of an eye is one of those very popular cliches for speed. Then she turned to the third man, his name was Don. Well, out on my dad's ranch, you stepped out of the house, and you went over to the wall where there's a light switch. You flipped on that switch, and way out across the pasture, the lights came on in the barn. Oh my God, in less than a second. Yep, turning on a light has to be the fastest thing I can think of. Jennifer, the interviewer, was so impressed with that answer, she thought she'd had it found her man, Don. It's hard to beat that speed of light, she said. Turning to Gary, the fourth and final man, Jennifer posed the same question. Well, Gary replied, after hearing those previous 3 answers, it's obvious to me that the fastest thing known to man is diarrhea. What? Said Jennifer. Oh, sure, said Gary. You see, the other day I wasn't feeling good. I ran for the bathroom, but before I could think, blink, or turn on the light, I'd already crapped my pants. That's how Gary got in to be a firefighter. Finally, I couldn't say anything more nice about Gary, writing it down, so I thought I'd write a poem about him. This is a poem about Gary Wood. He's a man who thinks he could. Gary could do whatever he feels, from climbing hills to clicking his heels. Gary likes golf, but he's not that good. He changes his swing more than he should. He dreams of shots that only Leslie can make, but he never gives up for his own namesake. He runs the sound system for the Sandfest each year, but requires much help since his hearing's not near. When it comes to curling, he leaves that to Leslie, since the only rock he throws is at Elvis Presley. From putting out fires to emergency response, Gary's done it all, and always done really on a pounce. He's quite the guy who loves the wings, and even the Spitfires when the hometown sings. He likes to beat every big drum, but he's keeping the tune in mind. It can be lots of fun. We can go on about Gary's shortfalls, but that would take too long and too many calls. Let's all raise a glass and give him a cheer. We can be thankful that he didn't turn out to be a good beer.
Lion Helen, Don mentioned that Gary's a bit of a golfer. I think you have a story about Gary and his golf, don't you?
What some of you may not know, and we're just going to keep it between us again. Gary was deputy chief for a very long time, longer than the average bear, one might say. However, I found out the reason just very recently. I was talking to Leslie, and she happened to tell me the story of why he was deputy chief for so long. See, every Saturday morning, he, as deputy chief, would go and play golf. Not very well, with the chief. this was what happened every Saturday, till this one weekend when he came back into the house, just plunking and plumping and just plonked himself down in a chair, just looking awful. And Leslie, being the sweet girl she is, said, "What's wrong? Did you have a rotten game today?" He said, "No." He said, "I played brilliantly. The first 3 holes, I was 4 under par. Are you kidding?" She says, "Well, so why are you looking so exhausted?" And he said, "Well, the thing is, on the 4th hole, the chief died. He just collapsed and was dead on the spot." "Oh my God," said Leslie, "that's dreadful." She said, "No wonder you're looking so exhausted, trying to revive him and all." He said, No, he was long gone. But after that, it was hit the ball, drag the chief.
Next up, we have a trio. Past Cabinet Secretary 3 times F, Zone Chair Jennifer, and Lion Frank.
Well, to start with, being Gary's secretary and treasurer, yeah, the mic. Gary had a certain criteria, and we're just going to kind of go through the criteria that he had. Line Jennifer.
Incoming Gary, Lion Ab and myself are here to say to you, we very much would like to be your cabinet secretary and your cabinet treasurer for your governor's year.
Well, that would be great. I definitely have a list of criteria for both of these positions. Lion Jen, you must be able to prepare and present a budget at each cabinet meeting.
Well, I haven't had much experience doing budgets, but I'm willing to give it a try with your guidance.
Well, if you cannot, I would be like Donald Trump and say, "You are fired!" Lion Jen, to be my secretary, you must be available 24/7. And you must do any table dancing like you did for the last government. You must have your tea beside your coffee table between 9:30 and 10 every morning so you can get my phone call.
You mean every morning? Not leaving any time to snuggle with my husband? That will be hard to do.
One thing that will be important, Lion Jen, is that you must arrange for the cabinet dinner at convention at the Legion in Water. You think you can handle that?
No problem. I think I'll arrange a turkey dinner.
Oh, no, not turkey. We cannot eat turkey because everyone become foul.
Ring, 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 ring.
Oh no, George. Here comes my 9:30 phone call. I wonder what is up this time.
And I was just thinking about this all night. What do you think of renting the Chi-Chi Mon for the Lions 100th celebration?
Are you nuts?
No, I just think it's a good idea. And you live so close to the office of the Ontario Transportation Company, you could slip by and pop and see if this is possible.
I will see what I can do, but I still think you're crazy. Do not count on too much.
Jen, one last thing to be my treasurer. Can you bake? Because I love butter tarts.
Sure I can. I can make the best butter tarts you can find anywhere. I would brought some for you to try.
And one more important thing. Do you like animals?
Of course, I love dogs.
Good, because I have several important events I have to attend. And I was hoping my little dog Harley could have a vacation at your place.
I'm sure he will have the best vacation ever. Past District Governor Gary, Lion Jan and myself have had a great year working alongside you. We have had a lot of fun and a lot of laughs and a year we can all be proud of.
Did you know Lion Captain Gary was down at the harbour one day and he was sitting around doing nothing as usual, and he sees this young punk lad sitting on one of the capstans, shaved hair and spikes all down the middle at the top. Every colour you can imagine, red, blue, green, yellow, purple, white, the whole lot. So anyway, Gary's staring at this lad, and all of a sudden the lad looks at him and says, "What's up, old timer? Have you never ever done anything daft and scary and daft in your life?" And Gary looks at him, he says, "Yeah," he says, "I married a parrot once. I'm wondering if you're my son." Right, Joanne. Andrew, that's your cue to get ready.
Wow. Tonight I am here to malign and abuse immediate past District Governor Gary Wood. I had trouble thinking of funny stories about Gary without offending him. He is a character, a Scotsman, a retired firefighter, a blues brother. The man has many personalities. I won't go so far as to say he's a split personality, but I will say his personality is fractured. Everyone knows when calling, Gary will ask for the party to whom he is speaking. He'll bounce ideas off you and then do his own thing anyways. He'll ask questions that you may or may not be able to answer, and will go totally off topic if you let him. A short question or comment can turn into a conversation that may require a meal and a nap. Having Lion Gary as my Vice District Governor was entertaining. He was anxious to step into roles, but I didn't need a kilt-wearing Scottish entertainer. I needed a Vice District Governor who followed through on jobs. I'm still waiting for the report on a non-denominational Lions Memorial Service and whether or not he will be attending the convention of 2016. When I was past District Governor, Hank's Vice District Governor, I threw shoes at him at his roast. Gary did not throw shoes at me, but I felt his footsteps on my heels on a regular basis. And when he became governor, it wasn't his feet that I was concerned about, but his big fat head. To hear Gary, he has single-handedly changed the world and has the president's ear at Lions International and 3 small countries. But truly, Gary has had some wonderful ideas, the success of the cruise being one of them. I would like to present Gary with a lion I found. It is appropriate that this lion is rolling with laughter because that is how I think of Gary, a lion filled with laughter. Immediate past District Governor Gary is passionate about lions and the future of lions, and I hope some of his enthusiasm rubs off on us and all of District A9 can work together to help this year's District Governor Dennis and the leaders of the future.
Make it work, he says. Delegating again. There's a button. It's supposed to work.
Don't worry, you'll find someone to make it work for him.
Okay, our next presenter needs a couple of minutes, so we'll have to do a little bit of fill-in. So, did you know about the police officer working a night shift? He was scheduled to work all night, but there was not much going on, so his sergeant told him he might as well go home. So he rolled home at 2 o'clock in the morning, and he thought, you know what, I don't want to wake the wife. So he crept into the house, and he crept upstairs, and he undressed very quietly, and he was just about to crawl into bed, and his wife said, honey, I've got a terrible headache. Could you go and get me some aspirins, please? So, being a nice guy, he said, certainly, darling. So he gets dressed in the dark, goes down the stairs, goes outside to the all-night pharmacy, and he goes in and he sees the pharmacist, and the pharmacist says, oh, aren't you the police officer from town? And he says, yes, I am. He says, well, why are you dressed as a fireman then? Okay, the next group coming up. They had a hard time to put together their thoughts and feelings, which is normal for them anyway, and to put the feelings into words, so they decided to act it all out. So, if we could have a round of applause, please, for Lion Andrew and his entourage.
I'm sinking back here, man. Oh, Jesus. What are you thinking about? Nothing. Lion BJ, settle down. I know we're in American territory, territorial waters. We'll be in Tobermory soon. Quit puking on my decks.
Lion Gary, we're sinking, man. We're sinking.
What are you,
Water.
what are you thinking about?
Nothing.
Lion Dennis. Don't worry about Lion Hank. He fell overboard hours ago. His last words were, this trip was my idea. Cheeky lion.
Keep going, I'm getting foggier.
Lion Kitty, can you keep those A9 youth camp kids separated and out of the bar? I have standards to keep up with. Lionel Leach. I know the Titanic did not have enough lifeboats, but we do.
I'm sure that's only the tip of the iceberg. So now's the time for our entertainment. My past district governor, Gary Wood's corny joke hour.
You know what lion Chinese sailors eat? Junk food.
Come on.
What lies at the bottom of Lake Huron?
A nervous wreck.
Why are pirates called pirates? They just are. A lion sailor eating alphabet soup. Found the 7 C's. What keeps a lion on a dock afloat?
Lion Gary, you better get a new job.
Peer pressure. What's the most eaten vegetable on a boat? Leeks. The Titanic is about to sink.
How far from land are we?
Oh, about 2 miles.
Which direction?
Down.
We're looking for Lion Dennis.
Second half.
Okay, Lion Captain Gary.
Second half.
Thank you. Lion Captain Gary Wood.
All right. Whoa.
Okay.
Dennis screwed up.
We now have an authentic radio broadcast between Captain Gary Wood of the Chi-Chi-Man and Lion of the Tobermory Coast Guard.
Please divert your course 15 degrees to the south to avoid collision.
Recommend that you change your course 15 degrees to the north to avoid collision.
Negative. You will have to divert your ship 15 degrees to the south to avoid collision.
This is the captain of a Canadian ship. I say again, divert your course.
Negative. I say again that you have to divert your course.
This is the largest passenger ship in the Canadian fleet, the SS Chi-Chi Lion, with 400 very important lions on board. I demand that you change your course 15 degrees to the north, or there will be countermeasures to ensure the safety of this ship and the passengers, period.
This is the Tobermory Lighthouse. Your call.
I want to thank you, Lion Gary, for your great sense of humor. Lion Jim for being a great crew member. B&W Appliances for the fridge box. Lion John Patterson in transportation. And Lion Tommy Durant for the foghorn.
Thank you, Pirate Andrew. Lion Bob Richardson. Where did he disappear to? Oh, okay.
Middleton's dead.
That's great.
Okay. Thank you. My name's Jerry Jackson. I'm related to Janice very proud member of the Sable Beach Lions, Been a member for about 10 years or so. Gary's always been a hard act to follow, so that's why it's not for him, I guess. But we're very fortunate as a club here at Sable Beach to have 3 past district governors at our club. Bob Richardson is one of them, and Jim Kempter is the second one, and now we have Gary Wood. So I just wanted to present Gary with this sign. We have 3 of them. They go up on our 3-line signs, which are at every entrance to South Beach. And you can install them for us, Larry.
Well, that's actually the end. Actually, it's almost the end of our official presentation. Does anybody else want to... does anybody have anything nice to say to Gary? You want to come up? Moving right along, yeah. Anybody else want to have a little dig at Gary? No? Okay. Well, we're waiting for Andrew to come. Oh, yeah. Oh. Anybody else, please? Please.
Thanks very much for the microphone. I want to tell you a little story so we can dispel this rumor that I speak too much. A number of years ago, I was involved in an Ontario conference for parks managers, and I asked Lion Gary to come to this conference up in Aurelia as a guest speaker. We had an hour between the two of us to present our theme that evening. Ever since then, Gary's been riding a high because I lied to him and said that he scored a 95 out of 100 on his presentation. During that presentation, he had 55 minutes of speech. I had 5. Anyways, it's been an exciting time, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. It's sort of like being at your little brother's high school graduation. In this case, it's my older little brother here. Gary had a fantastic theme this year, something about going up a big hill or something, only to find when he got on the top, he was already over the hill. I'm really pleased that Gary took the opportunity to step forward after, I know Lion Jim and I have been after him for years to step forward and give being a district governor some consideration. We were so tired of Leslie doing everything in his life. It was about the time that Gary actually stepped forward. So really appreciate that you did step forward, Gary, and you've had a wonderful year. In fact, the highlight for me of Gary's entire Lion year was the fact that I missed every one of his presentations. Gary, I'm done. Thank you very much.
Okay, couple of seconds till Andrew gets back to help us with the last one.
Do you know how sailors blow their noses? What do they use? Handkerchiefs. Come on, it was as good as Andrew's.
Okay, a magician was working on a cruise ship in the Caribbean. The audience would be different each week, so the magician allowed himself to do the same tricks over and over again. There was only one problem. The captain's parrot saw each of the shows and began to understand how the magician did every trick. Once he understood, he started shouting in the middle of the show. Look, it's not the same hat. Look, it's up his sleeve. Hey, where are all the cards? The ace of spades. The magician was furious. The damn parrot was ruining everything, but he couldn't do anything about it. It was, after all, the captain's parrot. One day the ship had an accident and sank, and the magician found himself adrift on a piece of wood in the middle of the ocean, with the parrot, of course. They stared at each other with hate, but did not utter a word. And this went on for a day, then another day, and another day. And after a week, the parrot chirps. Okay, I give up. What did you do with the ship? Andrew, Jim?
He's coming in.
He's coming in.
So the final roast, if you like, is going to be a little song. A painful little song to a tune you will know very well, and we are asking for participation from the maestro. How wonderful to see you!
Hey, Lion.
Oh, how marvelous! We didn't think he was actually booked in New York, but I guess that pub closed, right? So we are going to sing this little song, and the chorus will. That's what it's going to do. It's going to come up on the screen. So please join in. I said that. You've got too much parrot right there. Okay, Maestro.
Blocking the screen.
Now Gary was our district governor. He reigned over District A9. Despite everything he accomplished, A9 will recover in time. Gary was governor of District A9, but we are certain A9 will recover in time. This year saw a Lions Day of service. Each club worked as hard as it could, and the person to blame for this misery was Taskmaster Gov. Gary Wood. Gary was governor of District A9, but we are certain A9 will recover in time. Gary took us all a-cruising round islands in old Georgian Bay. When he appeared dressed like a captain, the passengers started to pray. Gary was governor of District A9, but hopefully the G line will recover in time. Our Gary, he once was a fireman, putting out fires galore. But now he's retired, Leslie tells us. Gary ain't so hot anymore. Gary was governor of District A9, but we are certain A9 will recover in time. Although tonight's all about roasting, there's one thing we do have to say. For your years of service in Lions, we thank you, past Governor Gary. Gary was governor of District A9, but we are certain he will recover in time. I should have mentioned that the name of that wondrous ballad is A9's Lament.
Well, believe it or not, we've finished with all the razzing of past District Governor Gary. We have a few presentations to be made now, and first is the Mayor, Janice Jackson.
Thank you. That's a bird brain for you. Before I get into this guy, I want to say, on behalf of the town, and I am so incredibly proud, and I know our entire town is really incredibly proud of the McLaren Pipe and Drum Band. And I want to tell you that these guys come out all the time. The Santa Claus Parade, the Remembrance Day Parade, the what? Well, Willie's funeral. They led the procession. There isn't an important time in our town that the McLaren Pipe and Drum Band aren't there. So please give them a huge hand. So, when I was asked to come out and pay tribute to this guy, I thought, jeez, seriously? You know, you have to do the damnedest things when you're the mayor. Honestly, we are really proud of Gary. We're proud of him as a citizen of our town. We're proud of him as a member of the Sauble Beach Lions. Which I'm a Lion, I'm a very proud Lion, and Gary's done a tremendous amount of work, and of course his work resonates far beyond the Sauble Beach Lions Club, so it's quite an honor to be here, in all seriousness, you big luckhead. I've got a few presentations that I want to make to you on behalf of our friends who aren't able to be here tonight. This one says, Mr. Gary Wood, Governor of the Lions Club District A9. As a member of the Provincial Parliament for Bruce Grey, Owen Sound, I would like to congratulate you on completing a successful year as Governor of the Lions Club District A9. This could not have been accomplished without much hard work and dedication. You should be justifiably proud of the work you've done. Your efforts serve as a fine example to all of us. Congratulations and best wishes on this special recognition, your friend, Bill Walker. Congratulations to Gary Wood, immediate past District Governor, District Lions Club A9. Please accept my best wishes on this wonderful honor and recognition of your dedication to helping others in our community. This is from your friend, Larry Miller. And mine doesn't say anything. Gary Wood is awarded Certificate of Recognition on behalf of the Mayor and members of the Council for the Town of South Bruce Peninsula and recognition for your serving of the Lions Club 2016-2017 as Governor of District A9. On behalf of the town, thank you for your services and dedication to the Lions Club and to our entire community. Gary, thank you. We have to have somebody has to take a picture of this man. Okay. There's three. I only know. Yes, jump up. It's exciting. Jump up. Jump up. Yes, you can light a fire. You have to open it up though. You'll light a fire. There you go.
Thank you, Janice. Elaine.